Hey, what? Howdy. It's Monday.
Yeah, it is.
Where are we? This is so
Different
weird.
location. I got tall and brown. This is a very unique situation.
What is happening right now?
Yeah.
Andrew's out of the country. Frank's with me. We're partying at Lakeview right now. We're obviously literally sitting on the stage in Lakeview Church with the lake directly behind us. We're having way too much fun.
It's beautiful out here.
It took us way too long to get set up.
Yeah.
But we've missed you guys. It's another Monday. We've got so much to talk about. Frank, I'm pretty sure you were preaching at Andrew's church.
Yes, I was preaching at Andrew's church.
Okay.
I changed the bylaws.
Wow.
I'm thinking about actually the building got painted, so that's because of me. The whole building is different color now.
I love it.
Changed the worship. It's all Maverick City. It contextually makes sense.
Wow.
It's a whole different place now because Andrew's gone, and so I'm like I slid right in there.
I'm so happy for you, buddy. When again did you preach?
Well, yesterday was Sunday.
And this is the morning after.
Welcome to the Morning After Ministry Show, a caffeine-fueled look back on the week and ministry that was.
All right, so here's the deal. Each and every Monday, Andrew and I get together, and we talk about the week and ministry that was. That was the old show. This apparently is the new show. Frank's going to be a regular, probably weekly on the show, and when Andrew or myself can't make it, Frank's going to really be co-pilot from here on out. As you know, Safety Harbor probably wants to hire Frank after preaching the best sermon they've ever heard yesterday. I'm pretty sure he even wore the microphone properly.
My placement was good. I stood up when I preached. I didn't sit down. If you don't know, Andrew sits when he preaches, and occasionally he doesn't wear the microphone correctly. But I acknowledge the difference. I stood up when I preached. I put the microphone.
I'm so proud of you.
Down my shirt, good placement, all that kind of stuff. It was a good time. It was a great time.
I guess my big question is why would the microphone cable ever belong outside of the shirt? Like, in what context would that make sense to not properly run the mic cable?
I think for my guess is maybe he didn't have the mic set up correctly. Like, he didn't have the mic on at all.
Sure.
He got on stage to preach, and then he just grabbed it, and he didn't really care. That's my best guess. But I got the microphone half an hour before I even get on stage.
I'm so proud of you.
I was able to prepare for that moment.
You did a great job. Now, Frank, walk us through. You were asked to preach at a church that you have not preached at before.
Correct.
The interesting thing here is the lead pastor is also out of town. So what's that process like, preaching at a new location? Obviously, Andrew prepped you and kind of gave you the 411 and everything, but what was it like preaching to not just a new context and new people, but even with the pastor not there at all?
So I think what's good is I'm not completely unfamiliar with this church. Like, if I didn't know anything about this church, I think I would be a little bit more nervous about my prep. But because, we've talked to Andrew so often, he shares so much of the context of the church. I kind of knew what I was walking into. And I would say it's a lot more casual and relaxed than a lot of churches I've been to. Andrew's church is it's a bit smaller than the church I came from in Milwaukee, and because of that, I didn't have to worry about a lot of the pre-production stuff that we did in our last church, and it was like really relaxed. I will say that one thing I did differently is I talked a bit slower and I enunciated a bit more.
Proud of you.
Because this isn't to be like it's not a bad thing. The demographics of the congregation is a little bit older than the church that I came from, so I wanted to make sure clarity was had. So I spoke slower. I didn't get as excited and stuff, and
But people love it when you get excited.
I know.
That's like part of who you are.
But when I get excited, I talk fast, and I've noticed over my life that when I talk fast, folks who are a little bit older tend to be like, I don't understand what you're saying. The other thing is different was this. Have you ever preached, I think here at Lakeview, you have a person running the slides.
Yeah.
But have you ever preached and controlled your own slides?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
In student ministry, I do it all the time.
Sure,
but
sure.
It's been a long time since I was. Yeah. Were you doing that?
I did that.
Is that what you normally do?
No. Andrew said that there was an opportunity for me to control my own slides.
So you just had a remote?
I literally had a remote. There was a couple of times the remote didn't hit the first time.
That's scary.
So I had to stop and pause and make sure I aimed it right. But it was overall it was fine. It was smooth.
So we should all go back, watch the live stream, and then critique everything about it.
I mean, if you want to, but
now, what about the sermon? So did you just had you preached this one a few times? So you were
Yeah.
able to kind of just rework it a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you write something new?
So my last church, we did a series over the summer called A Closer Look, where we basically examined all of our favorite, we did a survey in our church.
Sure.
Had everyone submit their favorite verses.
Yeah.
And then the preaching team came up with a preaching calendar based on those verses. And so I literally got to get first picks of those verses.
Yeah.
And it was Philippians 4:13.
Nice.
And then Ephesians 2:1-10. So
Love it.
to this last Sunday, I did Philippians 4:10-13. And then next Sunday, I'm doing Ephesians 2:1-10. So it's kind of like, whenever you have an opportunity to guest preach,
Sure.
when the church says preach like the sermon you have that like you can do without notes, like
Yeah.
this is almost there because I've preached
it.
it recently.
Yep.
I knew a lot about it. Yeah.
City Lights Church, yes, we covered this already. Did you hide the mic cord? Of course he did. By the way, if you're looking for a great church in the Scranton, PA area, as long as there aren't any major celebrities in town, they do have church each and every Sunday, Scranton, PA, where the lights are always on unless a major celebrity's in town, in which they then shut down church to, I guess, hang out with the celebrities. I don't know how that works.
Fair enough.
Frank, we at Lakeview Land, we are trekking through the book of 1 Corinthians, and I kind of prepped our people for a couple of weeks leading up to this because at some point in 1 Corinthians, Paul gets really harsh and he starts calling out very, very specific sin within the church and how to deal with that sin and what that particular sin is. So yesterday, which was Sunday, we went through 1 Corinthians chapter 5, all 13 verses. And you may or may not know this, but it's one of the more infamous sex chapters in the Bible. There is a dude who's sleeping with, the text literally says, his father's wife.
It's weird.
It's weird. So it's either his mom, it's his stepmom. We don't exactly know the context there. It's a very bizarre scene. So I had prepped our people the week before. Look, this is probably going to be a PG-13 sermon. We put it in the email. We put it on social media that, hey, if you have not talked with your kids about sex or porn or things of that nature, probably not going to be the best environment for them to be in on Sunday. So Sunday rolls around, and again, before the sermon started, I prefaced it again. Hey, parents, we've got a great kids ministry, blah, blah, blah. And then you just get into it. Like, I figured I'd done the prep. I had done the announcement, and as we're getting into it, I just felt terrible because there was this mom in the back of the room, and like her hands went up like this, and then she shielded her son's ears. They then got up and ran out of the room. I couldn't stop. Like, I was, you know what I mean? Like, once you're rolling, like.
What specifically were you saying when that happened?
So I had opened with the sexual perversion of Corinthian culture. Which
is explicit enough.
They were explicit. They were homosexuality, bisexuality, open marriages, swingers, all of that. And then, I kind of said, is it that much different from our culture today? Just look at the porn industry, for example. And then I covered like just high-level porn statistics. And in the middle of that, they sprinted out of the room. Thankfully, that was the only incident. I did talk to the family afterwards. It was not a huge deal. The best part, it was the grandson of one of our elders, which made it even,
it's awesome.
Even better. We had a great conversation. She was fine. It was totally cool. But it was just one of those moments you're like, you prep it, but if someone who hasn't been here just shows up for the first time, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
So I don't really know how else you would handle something like that. But what is happening right now? Someone is hang on, Frank. Hold the phone here. You're probably going to want to here.
Yeah.
Put this in. We have here's what we're trying to do for you. Andrew Larson is currently in Scotland. Let's see if we can get him on the show. I don't know if this is going to work.
Do you think he has an accent?
I don't know what he has right now. If he's here, we're going to try to get him on. Let's see. We're losing him. Okay. All right. So we have a special segment. If Andrew can get in, we're going to try to get him in on the segment. We'll keep you posted. We'll keep you posted.
But You meant
Have you dealt with this before? Like, have you done sensitive topics, sensitive subjects? And in student ministry, like, we sent out the email to parents.
Yeah.
We made sure everything. So what did you do, or
well,
what have you done?
I mean, I think like we did what you did. You sent an email out saying PG-13 sermon,
Sure.
and sensitive subjects and stuff like that. But I want you to share this because you told me this to me. The same thing that happened to you happened in our church, where when you tell people, hey, sensitive topic, PG-13, it has like the Barbra Streisand effect where
Yes.
more people come, right? So like, didn't you have like more people than usual?
We had a record-breaking attendance Sunday yesterday in the middle of November.
You got Easter numbers on the sex talk.
We literally, like, Easter 2 years ago, yesterday was bigger than that.
Wow.
Like, it was the funniest thing. We literally had a pretty packed room for all 3 services, and I'm wondering if the sex talk had something to do with it. Is it just the people like, oh, something edgy? We're gonna come to church today. We want to miss this. I don't know. We also had a baby dedication, which was really cool, and you gave me a great idea, which we should have done. So, Lakeview family, if you were here yesterday at the 8 o'clock service, the Jones family, we dedicated baby Everly. It was the sweetest thing. She was literally singing during the worship set, and like in between songs, she was still singing. Super cute. So we brought them on stage. We do the baby dedication thing, and then like second and third service, I'm like, they didn't get to experience that. So Frank, what would your suggestion be for things of that nature? Like when you have something at one service, how do we also celebrate that at all the services?
So especially if it's the first service, what you want to do is have someone immediately take a picture.
Sure.
And then drop it into your computer. So that way, in the following services, you can cast vision saying, hey, in the first service, we dedicate baby so-and-so, and this was awesome, and then use that as a way to promote the announcements. Same thing with baptism. If you can do baptisms in the service, you can always tell people, like, hey, the waters are still moving from the first service because we have baptisms, and if you're interested in getting baptized,
that's a great idea.
So it's always about promoting that.
Lakeview, this is why we hired this guy. He's full of just really solid stuff. Hey, this might work, Frank. We've got a special guest for all those of you out there. If you haven't been traveling his viral travel vlog, he's updating it every day. He's doing his own VO, his own voiceover, which he doesn't have the best voice, so he's doing the best he can. But it looks amazing. It sounds glorious. So, Andrew Larson, let's try to get you in right now, buddy. Andrew, are you here?
Hey, fellas, what's going on?
He's here. Andrew, we've got you full screen right now because
I can see that. That's a bit much.
No, it's perfect. We want the view. We want to know what's going on. How's the trip, buddy?
The trip is spectacular thus far. There's a castle right behind me.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Which
that's cool.
Doesn't happen to me very often. I'm going to try to switch this to the back camera so that you guys can actually get a bit of the view. I don't know how to open the
we have nothing.
balcony.
We have to go back to the camera. We have nothing. You got to go back to the front-facing camera.
Anything now?
No, we've got nothing. Where did you go? Did you disappear on us?
Last try. Anything?
We can hear you. Keep talking. So tell us a little bit more about the trip. How's it going? What's been the best part? I mean, I've been living for the vlog updates, honestly.
How's the haggis?
I'm back to the front camera. Can you see anything?
No, it's just black, but we're listening to you. Keep going.
I blame myself. The trip has been spectacular thus far. Yesterday, I went to 3 different churches, which was really cool. And it's because so many of the evangelical churches here in Scotland don't own their own facility. So they kind of have staggered times whenever they can get a spot.
Yeah.
And the thing that was really cool is what we've been talking about so much is trying to do church together as different churches. They're doing it. That's cool. In that part of the country, there's maybe 100,000 people total in I can't even, try all of Tampa Bay area combined, maybe Tampa to Orlando area, and there's about 100,000 people. So there are legitimately 3 evangelical like-minded churches in that entire region of the country. And they are partnering together in any way they can. All 3 of them prayed for each other by name in service, which was spectacular. And then the one of the pastors had a baby 3 weeks early a few weeks ago, and so the pastor who was at the first church that I went to preached at the second church as well, and It was just spectacular. It was really cool. And then this morning, the pastor at the third church that I was at in the kind of like the resort towns, almost like the Vale, Colorado of Scotland. It's called Aviemore, and it was kind of a ski holiday place, and now it's just an all things outdoorsman. So whether it's hunting, skiing,
That's cool.
paddleboarding, canoeing, mountain biking, all that kind of stuff. He and I went out for coffee this morning and just talked for like 2 hours about ministry. So it was one of the highlights of my
the
trip.
people want to
thus far.
see the room. They want to see where you're at. So back out, call back in. Jump back in, when you jump back in, we're going to bring you on live again.
Deal.
While Andrew is fixing his usual technical difficulties, I love this. City Lights Church says, I was preaching on Galatians 5 yesterday. Had to apologize to parents after I talked about Paul telling the people preaching circumcision to cut the whole thing off. We went through Galatians last year. I remember having this talk as well, and that was another warning to the parents. If you haven't had the circumcision talk with your kids, which is kind of a weird, like that's not a normal talk.
I think it goes circumcision talk, and then right after that you have the Santa talk. I think that's the hierarchy.
That is definitely the order. Ken says we try to schedule out special stuff at the early service. See, this is what I like. Ken, we need you here. We need you on staff at Lakeview for stuff like this. Look what they do. He grabs the video from their feed, cuts it into the next services in the exact same spot, so everyone gets to celebrate. That is next level. I don't know that we'd have time. Frank, I do have a slight confession to make. The manuscript yesterday for first service, which included the baby dedication, was well over 4,000 words.
Wow.
When you have an hour-long service, 4,000 words is a bit too much.
It's the whole hour.
It's a bit too much. So we were bumping up against the next service because we only have a 30-minute window in between services, which makes it very, very tricky to have special stuff in the service. So trying to figure that out. Ken, I actually love the video idea.
Yeah.
If we could make that work, that would be so awesome.
I mean, at minimum, you have the video for social media later, but you should definitely have, if you can do it in the first service, have someone take a picture, and that way you can immediately vision cast that in the following two services.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. All right, we've got Andrew Larson back. He's in the hotel room. We want to tour. The people are just dying to see what you're up to, Dr. Larson. So here we go. Andrew, you are live, buddy. What's going on over there? Scotland.
Well, I just called down to the front desk because I don't know how to open my balcony. And what's the point of having a balcony if you can't spit off of it? So I can open it this far right now.
That's pretty
So
cool.
at some point, someone's going to come up here and teach me how to read so that I can open the balcony. I'm very much looking forward to that. And there's my fat finger.
Oh, there we go.
I've got the ultra wide shot on. I'm sorry. Here's the most ridiculous thing. Are you ready for this? This is by far the most expensive room that I'm staying in the whole trip.
Look at this.
There's no shower.
What? Have you been like just bathing?
I mean, I have been because I like to feel pretty, but this is a little bit different. This is I don't have a choice this time around, but to take a bath. So if you FaceTime me in a little bit, Timmy, I'll be wearing my Apex Hotels bathrobe.
Honestly, I was hoping you'd be in the robe for the show. We told the people you might be.
I had been in the hotel for a grand total of 2 minutes when I clicked the link and called you guys.
Now, what time is it over there right now?
It is 4:25, so 5 hours ahead of you.
Why does it look like 3 p.m.?
Because the sun sets at 4. Like, really, there's...
CJ says Andrew had to remove the candles from the tub before calling.
That's the real reason that it was black before. I didn't want you guys to see that. But so apparently I'll be having dinner someplace down here tonight.
Oh, I love
it. And there's
Who are you having dinner with tonight?
Myself.
Oh, I didn't know if you invited any more pastors out.
Well, I have not, because I have literally been in Edinburgh I got back to the airport to return my rental car at 2:00, and then it took me about 2 hours to get here. It took about an hour to get into the city after the rental car return and the tram ride and all that stuff. And then
you visited the castle?
Not yet, because I've been here for no time at all. But I booked this room specifically because of the vicinity to the castle. Mm-hmm. And then I thought I was going to walk to the hotel from the tram station with my 50-pound suitcase, duffel bag, and laptop bag. and this whole city is on hills with steep staircases carved into the hills. And so there was me and a lady who was on the same tram as me, both carrying giant suitcases, and we went up one hill that was just paved, but the most giant hill you've ever seen.
Russell's
And
wondering if you've already done the springs.
Russell, it was terrible. The ferry springs were closed. Some idiot ruined it this summer, and
What? You're
they
serious?
someone with a camper van made a deep rut in the road that couldn't be repaired without shutting down the road. So the road was shut down. So I went to the Ferry Glen, and then I went to the river that the springs dump out of, but it was on a main road, so I didn't feel like I could fully skinny dip.
Oh, that's a
Oh my
bummer.
gosh.
That's a
I
bummer.
I was hoping I brought an extra pair of underpants with me on the Sky Tour and everything, but oh well.
Well, you gave it your best shot, big guy.
But one of the other highlights of my trip thus far was hearing from all of my church people about just how much they loved Frank Gill.
You knew that was coming. It was a
I know.
dangerous. It was a dangerous ask. The guy can preach really well.
I know, but see, that's why I'm glad he's planting way closer to you than to me. So my people can be like, wow, we're his biggest fans, but we live too far away. Your people, Timmy, I don't know. You might be in
That's
trouble.
kind of the point. Andy, we can't fit any more people. We literally are going to send them out with Frank because we're not going to 4 services, bud. It's not happening.
Andrew, put the camera on your face. We want to see you now.
We're just looking at a
No one
castle.
wants to
Where's,
see that.
where's our friend?
This is the worst episode of Cribs I've ever seen.
I can try to put it like this.
Oh, yeah, that works.
Oh, that's
So
That actually works
but now
out
I
great.
can't
you're
see
such
you
a
guys.
YouTuber now. You're like a short Casey Neistat.
Yeah, so what are you using for the travel vlog videos? I mean, you're doing your own VOs. This is
I'm
getting crazy.
my
Terrible
iPhone
framing.
and the microphone that Frank used last week. Although I don't know, my AirPods are not actually picking up. You guys are coming out of the phone.
It's fine. It sounds great.
Yeah.
We can actually just add
The-
you. We'll just put them right on the show. I mean, you sound great,
See
buddy.
if you get picture in picture. Oh, that's
Yeah, there we go.
Beautiful.
Look, we're all on together, just like we're meant to be.
Just like it's supposed to be. Just like those churches in the Highlands yesterday, where they're just partnering
I
together.
especially
and doing
love the
ministry.
enormous amount of headroom over your head. It's great.
I can sit closer. How's that? Is that what you were hoping for?
You
is
know how I
good.
feel
I
about
can't-
headroom, Andrew.
I can't see myself right now. I'm looking at the back of my phone.
Well,
you look great.
It's wonderful.
So what's on the docket? When's Melissa coming in town?
He was
Have you missed her?
my church and then kind of our network of churches, and I mentioned the growth that Lakeview has experienced, and he said, "Oh, that would be the biggest evangelical church in Scotland." I was like,
That's
"No,
crazy.
in the Highlands?" He said, "No. In Scotland, there are no evangelical churches bigger than 300 or 400 people." And
How
I
is
was
that
just
possible?
amazed at that. And he said, "Andrew, in this country, 51% of the population has a negative view of the church as a whole. And
Andrew,
only
put your
3%
AirPods back in.
of
You
the
sounded better when they were
population
in.
identifies as evangelical."
Put your AirPods back in.
Apparently, now they're working. I don't know how anything.
It sounds so much better now. Although we're getting an echo.
Guys, this is the future. We have technology of reaching us in Scotland. Of course, there's going to be a couple bumps in this. Andrew, thank you so much for letting me preach at your church. It was a great experience. Lots of great hospitality, and I only changed a couple lines of your bylaws.
Okay, there you go.
Evangelical Covenant Church is very.
I have
angry
not
at me,
looked
by the way.
at. I have not looked at our bylaws since 2017, so you're good. You can
What is he
do whatever
doing?
you feel like you need
What's
to do.
going on right now? Where are we going? Are we on another tour?
No, I thought I heard the guy from the front desk coming to help me open the balcony, and it was just another room.
Hey, you framed it way
When you
better
have
this time.
AirPods, when you have AirPods in, it gets very confusing. So, Frank, I heard that you guys didn't stick around for food.
I totally forgot that you guys had like lunch afterwards. We had plans. We wanted to go to Eggs Up Grill, that good place that we
Okay.
discovered.
Yeah.
And then we had to go. We literally had to go furniture shopping because we don't have any furniture for our house. So
When are you
went
guys
up,
closing?
we went up US 19 to all the furniture stores that are over there. The end of December.
Okay. That's fantastic. I mean, I'll be in Arkansas, so I don't know if I'll be able to, help you carry a sofa, but I
okay.
still love you.
Andrew, CJ's wondering, when is the video of you doing a Braveheart monologue coming? Is that happening?
You know, the after trying to drive myself from Edinburgh to Inverness and then up and down Loch Ness, I thought there's no way I'm going to drive on the one-way roads out on the Isle of Skye. So I booked a tour bus, and just having a tour guide there was the best thing I've spent money on so far this trip. And he was talking about how much they hate Braveheart. He's like, we think Braveheart is the worst. There's nothing accurate about it. It's just terrible. And then somebody said, oh, yeah, what about Outlander? And he said, oh, you mean 50 Shades of Plaid? And that made everybody laugh very hard. And he said...
So they're not Outlander fans either?
No, he said they love Outlander, and it's incredibly historically accurate.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So
that show's a blast.
There you go. But I think I've told about 12 different people I know that are into that show the 50 Shades of Plaid joke, and it's gotten that reaction every single time.
For the record, season 1 is, but after that, it's fine.
Oh, Tim, I'll just take your word for it. I believe you.
All right, when's Melissa coming in town? When are you guys?
Melissa gets in on Saturday morning, so I
she's
am
in for
here
the whole
at
weekend
the
with you?
seminary. Yes, well, until Wednesday. So she's here Saturday till Wednesday. I am at Edinburgh Theological Seminary beginning tomorrow. I didn't realize that those incredibly steep steps that I was supposed to carry my suitcase up were right in front of the seminary. So I had gotten an email when I was on the tram from the seminary saying, hey, I know you're coming in this afternoon if you want to come by. And I said, oh, no, I'll just go straight to the hotel. And then as I was walking, I'm like, oh, look, there's the seminary. So I got pictures of it, but I didn't actually go in. So I'm at the seminary from tomorrow morning. And then typically they're done around lunchtime, but there's a postgraduate seminar that I'm going to go to tomorrow. And so just be there pretty much during all daylight hours because the sun rises at about 8, but isn't actually fully daylight until 10 a.m. And then by 2, it starts going down. It's really weird. I am as far north as like Juneau, Alaska, I think I've heard. So it's we're pretty far north up here. So I'm at the seminary all this week, and then Saturday morning I fly to London at like 6 a.m. so that I can beat Melissa into London because she's never done an international flight before. So that way I'll be able to be on the ground already once she gets there. And then we are doing London and Paris, and we're coming back home in time for Thanksgiving dinner.
You're a good husband. Who's got the kids while you guys are gone?
My parents. Come on in. You guys are in for a treat. You guys all get to. Oh, hey! I bet you didn't realize that you would be a video podcast guest today. Oh, excellent!
This poor guy.
Oh, not a problem. Okay, I was trying to figure it out, and it was just smarter than I am.
I should pop this little restrictor out.
Okay.
What are we doing?
Hey, I can go out and talk to my friends from the balcony.
Well, be careful out there. It is freezing.
Okay, thank you.
Freezing.
Yep.
Oh, that is so good.
Good that guy to send a
In
release.
in case you could not see his name tag, his name is Alistair because we do things very Scottish around here. So literally, look at it. This is my view from my hotel room.
It's so pretty. I can feel the chilly air from here.
Yeah,
It's
it
freezing.
literally got cold in here.
It is so cold. It was.
CJ says this is the best podcast. Where else are you going to get this kind of content? Like, this is next level.
Nowhere else. When I was in Inverness, they got the first snow of the year, and then in Aviemore, it was like the first time that the snow was actually on the mountains. So I'll have pictures of that tonight.
Andrew, how was the haggis?
But look how weird. It was just kind of weird. I don't know that I would ever order it, but it seems that every free breakfast I order comes with it. So,
how about having beans for breakfast? Was it good?
Turns out my Wi-Fi doesn't work as well outside, though. Go figure.
I was wondering about that. CJ was hoping you were going to get locked out. Erica says Andrew's now a tour guide. He's applying for several positions. mean, based on the vlog, you might
You
get
know,
the job done.
I'm really just hoping to be a mommy influencer at this point in my career. I feel like I'd be
I think
really
you have
good
to
at
be
that.
Mormon first.
Ugh. I mean, I could convert. I've got some magic
No.
underpants. It could happen.
This is what we want to hear from a seminarian going to like whatever post-grad program you're going to right now.
So have you locked in on what you're doing at the seminary this week?
Yeah, I am sitting in classes. I'm attending lectures. I'm having coffee, and I'm taking, 25-year-old pastors in training out for lunch.
Nice.
Are you allowed
So-
in that historic library?
Yeah, that's basically what this is. The principal of the seminary, which is really funny to me that there's a principal. He said, it sounds to me like what you want is just access to the school. And I was, yep. He said, so sometimes people will come over and they'll have a specific research topic that they want to do, and so they'll lock themselves in the library for 2 weeks. And I said, I'm good. I just did one of those, but I did a whole program online, and so I want to be around people studying theology. And he said, that's perfect. Come on over.
Andrew, Earl,
That said, if anyone else wants to come, ETS, it's an amazing place.
They get sponsored the show.
Andrew, Earl mentioned that he wants you to bring him back a kilt. I think you should bring us all back kilts.
We will be in kilts for the next episode.
They're really expensive. I was looking when I was up in the Highlands, and my wife's last name is Anderson. That's a pretty big clan around these parts. Her maiden name, her current last name was Larson. And so I was looking for Anderson merch, and I just did not love any of her male relatives enough to buy them a kilt because it was about as much as a night in the hotel.
Wow.
Well, fellas,
Andrew,
you carry on,
sounds
do the show.
amazing.
I haven't eaten, and I've got another podcast to record in about an hour and 20 minutes.
All right.
Well, buddy, you go grab some grub, enjoy it for all of us, and then Frank and I will see you in just a bit.
Yeah, we'll hope that the setup works better on Riverside than it does on Ecamm. So,
I mean, we're good either way.
Carry on. Bye,
right, buddy.
fellas.
Get out of here. Wow. Looks like such a great trip.
Yeah. It looks beautiful. It looks pleasant.
Would you do something like that, Frank?
If I had sabbatical and I could go do like a postgraduate training, that's kind of what he's doing, right? Like some postgraduate work, or is he just like kind of caring for pastors?
It's both.
Yeah.
Both and.
Yeah.
They have specific things you can do, like specific topics you can study, or you can kind of do like a generalized thing. And that's what Andrew's doing.
I mean, I have never. I don't know what you've done in terms of leaving the country. I've only gone south.
Yeah.
So I've only gone to like Central and South America.
Done that a few
I've
times.
never gone that way over the ocean. To be honest, it makes me kind of nervous.
Yeah.
The idea of being over the ocean for that many
sure.
hours. But I would totally do it. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I was supposed to be on this trip with him. This was originally going to be a Tim and Andrew excursion, but when he told me he was going in November and my kids are in sports and it's the middle of the school year and it is absolutely a team effort when it comes to parenting in my household. Like last week was a stretch for me. I was gone Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that was a lot for me to be gone those 3 days. So I told him, dude, if you had done any other time of the year, like, I don't know, the summer when, sports are off, school's off, but I guess for whatever reason, this just worked out well. This was when they were offering this at the seminary, this particular sabbatical program. So Andrew's by himself. I don't think I'd do it by myself. I think that's my thing. Like, my wife would be with me. Steph and I have talked about this several times. She's like, there's no way you're going out of the country without me. And I'm like, you're right. So I actually guilted Andrew. Melissa, you're welcome. I said, dude, you got to get your wife over there. Like, you just have to. Like, you can't do this unbelievable trip and leave your wife behind. So, Melissa, you're welcome. You can thank me. So Melissa is going to be joining
And
him.
I saw Melissa yesterday, and she is super stoked.
Of course she is.
She's also super stoked. This is like off the pod that we're all going to Epcot at the end.
Anybody else wants to join us? December
Yeah.
17th, right?
Yeah, December 17th. We're going to Epcot. We're going to go see Neil Patrick Harris read the story of Jesus being born. Right? Is that what happens?
He reads literally like Luke 2 and
Yeah.
kind of gives a little gospel presentation.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited.
every head bowed, every eye closed.
Yeah.
And Neil Patrick Harris will lead you in the sinner's prayer at Epcot.
Hey Tim, can you share what's happening at your church right now?
We have an awesome view because this week look at all those boxes.
I know.
We are a collection site for Operation Christmas Child. I know a lot of you guys out there also partner with the OCC. Yeah, you know me. We have been partnering with Operation Christmas Child for 10 years now. We've been a collection site, meaning we don't just receive boxes from the members of Lakeview. We receive boxes from every church in the area, from any family in the area. There was like legitimately a homeschool family that showed up earlier, and they just hopped out of their van, all the kids, all their boxes. It was so sweet. So all week long, we've got tons of volunteers over in the student center, which is why we're not in there right now. And we can literally see them loading up boxes to get those things shipped out. So really awesome ministry, and I love that Lakeview gets to be a host site for this. And our people get fired up about this. Like there's a couple of things that we try to do really well every year, and this is one of those things. It's a lot of work, requires a lot of volunteers, and for whatever reason, our people just really latch onto it.
Yeah, if you're in the chat, I would love to know if you do Operation Christmas Child. One thing I've seen is like small to mid-sized churches tend to crush Operation Christmas Child. I actually don't know many super large churches that do Operation Christmas Child to this extent. And
the larger churches in the area actually bring their boxes to us.
Sure, that's cool.
It's kind of cool. Like I think it's awesome. Like we love to partner in that way.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. All right, so Frank, you've got one more week at Safety Harbor. You're preaching.
Yep.
So what's your downtime like? I know you took a sabbatical, but that was different.
Yeah.
Have you ever been basically, technically you're unemployed right now.
That's right.
You've signed an employment contract with Lakeview, but the date isn't until January 1.
Right.
So technically you're unemployed. So how are you filling the gap? You and I have chatted a little bit about this off the air because neither of us have really ever been unemployed for an extended period of time.
Right.
So what are you doing to fill the time? Are you already getting ready? Because the secret's out. We're going to be planting a church. Frank's going to be the planting pastor. Lakeview's going to be the sending church. So I know you're probably just diving into that, but what else are you doing? How are you filling the time right now?
Yeah. I think like right now I'm trying to like have healthy habits that I can start building towards the new year, whether that is like re-engaging how I do my like Bible study time, trying to do some healthy like, working out, things like that. But there's also like an aspect of like really being reacquainted with the community.
Sure.
So like I think there's a plan for Corey and I to go to downtown Newport Richey because we haven't been there in a long time. And so to kind of see that area.
We should go double date down there, dude. There's a ton of great restaurants.
Yeah, we should do that. There's a lot of like reacquainting ourselves with the community. There's been a lot of shopping because we sold a lot of our old furniture and stuff for our house in the last place, and so we have to get new stuff like that. But we haven't talked about that. We haven't talked about this. We went to a conference last week.
I was going to say, we should probably talk about it.
Yeah, we went to a conference last week, and
it wasn't DYM. I think the only conferences you and I have been to together was a Download Youth Ministry conference. So for the first time, we branched out.
Yeah.
We went to S2. Tell us a little bit about S2. This was my first time at one of these. I don't know much about Converge, which is kind of the organization that puts this conference on. So tell us a little bit about the conference and highlights maybe.
Yeah, and we saw a few DYMers.
We did.
That former DYMers there. But S2 is a conference that is for church planting and church strengthening. I think S2 stands for Start and Strengthen.
Yep, 2 S's.
Yeah, so S2.
Yep.
And it is connected with Converge in the sense that Converge, I'm pretty sure Converge puts it on.
Yeah.
And
Erica says, dang good on Maine. Erica, you're right. Dang good sushi. It's our favorite sushi joint. Frank, that's what
we would
we're
love to do it.
All right, keep going.
So we went there. We were invited by Converge because Converge is the church planting organization that my last church was a part of, and my prayer is that in February when we do the church plant assessment, that they will accept me to help be my supporting organization to plant this church. But it was drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah,
in many ways.
for sure.
Matt Chandler was there. Oh, we gotta talk about this, but
So
it was like drinking from a fire hose. We
Yep.
learned so much, and it's kind of caused me to kind of get like hyperdrive in terms of thinking like, okay, here's a couple of things I want to start doing before I even start in January. Well, I have this downtime. So there's been a couple of times I've been at coffee shops, working on some things, getting my thoughts on paper so I can start like working on it.
Yep.
I'm going to bring you into some stuff because I just don't want to think about this stuff alone.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I walked away from the conference feeling more that like I know I should be doing this.
Yeah.
Secondly, though, I also walked away like more nervous, like the weight of everything.
I felt the weight. One of my thoughts was like everyone tells you church planting is hard. Church planting is hard. But like being there amongst church planters who are boots on the ground doing this thing, like I walked away going, church planting is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready. I felt confident knowing that this is where God has us as a church. This was no accident that we're bringing you on board, and I'm excited to do this. But I've already told the staff like this is going to be a lot of work. Like we're ready for the work. It's going to be hard, but we're excited about the next season. For me, it was sweet just to be back at a conference. I don't know when the last conference you went to was. Typically, I go to like a youth ministry conference every year just because there's Youth Pastor Summit in Orlando. They give you free tickets to Universal. Last year, we took our youth pastor, Todd, and had a blast. But I haven't been to, a conference like this in a long, long time, probably since before COVID, really.
Wow.
Because every other conference I go to is just the local stuff or our thing that we put on. So it was fun to do the big conference thing again with, the over-the-top production in a lot of ways.
It was very high production.
Some of it was a little distracting.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was good. Like you and I had this conversation where it's like, if this was a Sunday morning, I'm like, I don't know.
It'd be
weird. Tough for me. It'd be tough for me. But like at a conference or a concert, I'm like, you know what? Go over the top of production. Let's have some fun. I'm good with that.
So the speakers were Matt Chandler,
Killed it.
Priscilla Schreier,
She was unbelievable.
and then what was the name of the guy from the last one? I can't think of his name.
Oh, the former pro athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
former
a
pro-
former like
pro football
receiver
player.
or something for the Chargers.
Yeah.
It'll come to us. But Matt Chandler opened the conference, and obviously me and Tim love Chandler.
Big fans.
And I told Tim like, hey, let's go to the front and say hi to him before he leaves.
Yeah, so like normally like after you preach, like there's like a little line of people and they just want to talk with you, pray with you. I'm not typically in that line, so it was nice to be on the other side of that. So Frank and I, we waited in this line, and then we got to actually speak with Matt Chandler.
Yeah. And it was such a funny moment because he remembered me because there's a couple of times we've interacted in a couple places.
Sure.
Gave me a big hug. I quickly gave him the download of what's been happening the last like decade. And then he said, can I pray for you? And I was like, absolutely. And he gave me a big hug, and he prayed with me.
My only regret in this moment, so it was a really sweet shot. I had my phone. I should have got a picture. Matt Chandler basically grizzly bear hugged Frank, like arms around his neck, embraced him like a son. And I don't know what the prayer was. I'm assuming it was very heartfelt and sincere and probably really powerful.
Yeah, it was like one of the most pastoral, kind of like fatherly prayers I've ever had over me. And then he goes to Tim, slaps his pec, and says, how much creatine are you taking?
So you get this like heartfelt father to son prayer. He smacks my chest and says, how much creatine are you on? And that was basically the most interaction I got to have with Matt Chandler.
I think for both of us, it was like the
still great.
peak experience
Still
with
great.
Matt Chandler that we ever
I don't
had.
know which one's better, like
Yeah.
the prayer or the creatine comment.
Yeah.
I'm good with either one.
Yeah, the conference was great.
It was
the
fun.
breakouts were good. We ate really well.
We did.
But like, yeah, I
People
think
kept taking us out. Like we didn't have to pay for food that much.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Tim, Frank, why don't you just come hang out with us? And we're like, okay.
We all-
that was like a cool part of the conference is we got to really just connect with a lot of people in the organization, a lot of church planters, and it was, I don't know, it made some really good connections, I thought.
I walked away, like I said, feeling more confident that this is where God wants me,
Sure.
but also more nervous about the weight of what all this means.
Yeah.
Also, we rented a Tesla, and that was the most fun I've ever had in a rental car in my
So it
entire
wasn't
life.
just the Tesla, it was an FSD, full self-driving.
Yeah.
So I would say we maybe touched the wheel of the Tesla 10% of the time, if
Oh,
not less.
we were for sure using full self-driving.
We used full self-driving everywhere.
Everywhere we went.
It was terrifying. At one point, we were using it at night, and there was construction, and I think it alerted us, please grab the wheel before you die. We were freaking out. We barely grabbed the wheel in time. Other than that, it was awesome. Like, the experience was amazing.
I get it, dude. Teslas are amazing. So conference was
Coming
good.
soon, Tesla charging superchargers at Lakeview Church.
There's enough Teslas coming every Sunday.
We've got a Cybertruck. We've got a Tesla. We could absolutely. I mean, who do we need to contact to get a supercharger right here? At Lakeview?
Elon, can you help us out?
He's watching.
We have a giant cross.
He's one of the 14
that is a cell
people.
phone tower. We can put a what's it called? The internet Starlink.
Starlink right on top of the tower.
Yeah, and you guys used Starlink when the internet was out here.
Starlink's our backup
dude.
internet.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to what's his role now? Government efficiency or something.
Mm-hmm.
We can get some.
Could connect with area churches.
We saw some DYM people.
We did.
A former designer for DYM, right?
That's right. We saw our buddy Nate, who did a lot of design work
Yeah.
for DYM. It was great connecting with him. It was like I saw him across the room, and I was like, Frank. And he's like, what? I was like, I know this guy. Pulled up my Facebook. I'm like, that's Nate. And he was like, in conversation, and then he made his way over to us. So it was a cool connection.
There's a couple people who've listened to either this podcast
Yeah.
or the Practically Pastoring podcast that just came up to us randomly and said, like, whenever someone does that, I'm always just like, this shouldn't happen. Like, you shouldn't know me because of a podcast. So that was awesome. We saw Justin Herman, who has been around youth ministry for a long time. It was a fun week.
One of Andrew's all-time favorite humans.
Yeah. It was a fun week of reconnecting with people and to see new people.
CJ says, are we witnessing the evolution of Tim into a mega church celebrity pastor? No.
You see the shirt he's wearing? It's a Preachers and Sneakers shirt. I would say
I'm wearing Crocs.
He's
I don't
wearing
know how
Crocs right
many
now.
celebrity pastors you see wearing Crocs. Like I think that automatically excludes me, just because every now and then I'll lift a few weights. I don't think that gets me that
but when
category.
you're a celebrity pastor, your ego is a lot more lifted because you could say a really bad joke and everyone just laughs really hard.
just because of who you are.
Yeah. And there was a couple of those that weekend. There's a couple like that joke wasn't funny, but the crowd overreacted really hard. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't think Tim is becoming a mega church pastor.
Frank might be.
His growth model is let's get people out of our church right now. So
It's basically the opposite of a mega church model.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some churches who are saying, how fast can we get to 10,000 people? We are saying, how fast can we get rid of some people?
yeah. So,
In other words, can we send people out because we have too many people coming to church right now? Hey, Frank, we've got about an hour before we're recording another podcast. You and I need to grab some lunch. So any final thoughts before we sign off? We're going to see you guys same time, same place next week.
if you are in the Epcot area
Yep.
on December 17th, myself, Tim, and Andrew, and our spouses will be there to watch the candlelight procession.
Can't wait.
If you are interested in hanging out with us, reach out to Tim, DM him, get in his DMs,
Slide on in.
and maybe we'll meet you there.
And also, if you're in town in February and you're like, man, I don't know, I need to get away. I'm looking for a conference. It's not going to be S2, but it's going to be at Lakeview. It's going to be a different vibe, a different feel. But the whole idea behind the Practically Pastoring Conference is for like-minded pastors to get together, to lock arms with one another and say, hey, we're in this together. You're not alone. That's kind of our whole mantra here with both the Morning After Ministry show and the Practically Pastoring podcast is we want you to know we're with you. We're with you in this. We're with you through this. We're in the trenches. We've got boots on the ground. So Practically Pastoring Conference. Frank, when is it? It's February
17th to the 19th here at the Lakeview Church. I put the before because it sounds more epic.
It does sound
the
really fun.
Lakeview Church. Also, we have a big sponsor for that for the conference. So, Church Merch is
Let's go.
an organization. So,
Wow.
because of their generosity, we're able to do some really, really cool things. So, yeah, go to practicallypastoringconference.com. We would love to see you here. There's a bunch of stuff.
We have the recommendation from Jerry. Jerry, wish you could make it, buddy. Jerry attended our very first, our inaugural Practically Pastoring Conference. Jerry, if you ever want to come back, we got a ticket waiting for you. You just got to find a way to get here, buddy.
Yep, that's it.
All right, guys. We will be back in action probably same time, same place. Andrew's still out of town, so we'll pipe him in from England, Scotland, wherever the world traveler is next week. But we miss you already. We can't wait to see you. Have a great week, guys.